Hi everybody, just a few thoughts on the US government holding the historic UFO hearing this week. I think we're just hours away from it, 26, 27 hours away from this mind-blowing testimony. Is it going to be mind-blowing? I don't know. I hope it is. I hope we're going to finally hear that we've been lied to for many, many years. What we hear might not necessarily be what we're expecting. Who can say? But I think it's Wednesday, 26th of July. House of Representatives will hear testimony from 3 witnesses about unidentified anomalous phenomena, the new terminology for UFOs. But I think it kind of covers it all. The hearing is going to be held by the House Subcommittee of National Security. So it's no light thing that they're going to be talking about. Whether we hear the smoking gun of UFO secrecy, I really can't say. It's going to be streamed on YouTube. But is it something that we don't already know? Do we need to hear it from these high-ranking military personnel? Would that make it more credible? Do we really need validation from the government to make that real for them? I'm not so sure that we do. And people say that the evidence isn't out there. The evidence is out there. It's en masse. And the US military and intelligence community are going to tell us, we hope, that what people like myself, people who report seeing UFOs and other unexplained phenomena have been reporting for years is true. Do we need that? Do I need validation from somebody else? Why can't we stop being sheep and just become independent and put our own truth out there? But if it's spoken in a way that the public can accept, that we are being visited, we are being interacted with by otherworldly beings, suddenly the public perception is going to change. And we're going to get people who've sat on stories, sat on strange experiences all of their life. Suddenly they're going to want to start talking about this as though it's okay now, it's normal. I never spoke about it before when Paul Sinclair spoke about the night people, or Travis Walton spoke about his incredible abduction, or Whitley Strieber in 1985, because that were all cuckoo and the general public just laughed. That wasn't true. But now we've got government officials coming out and saying to the sheep, yeah, there is something to this. We better start believing this. Let's take it seriously. And we'll hear more stories. It'll be a domino effect. And the house of cards will fall because more people are going to start speaking. It's a shame that people can't actually stand out from the crowd and openly speak about it now, like a few individuals do. And it is a few in the grand scheme of things, in the sea of people. It's just a few. But it looks like it is going to happen, and the UFO hearing that will be aired tomorrow will include testimony from 2 former US Navy aviators. I think it's Ryan Greaves and David Fravor. I think I've got that surname correct. And they're going to talk about encounters with what appeared to be unconventional aircraft operating in US military airspace. How many other military personnel, be it pilots or in some other department of the military, have come across these unknowns? And for whatever reason, whether it's because they're fearing for the pensions, for their job security, they've said nothing. These men are brave. They're coming out with these things, and I don't really see that they've got anything to gain by speaking about it if there's no truth to it. It could also have a backlash. It could also have a negative effect in that we're going to find out that for years and years and years we've been lied to on a monumental scale, which is not great, is it, when you think about it? When you think about all the time and the years that people invest trying to get their truth out, only to be knocked back time and time again. Perhaps part of the reason for holding on to this monumental secret for so long is the fact that when it is revealed that we've been lied to, Joe Public is going to also ask, what else are we being lied to about? Because we've seen the public denial, we've seen the ridicule, which has been an organised effort to play down people's UFO sightings, UFOs that have been seen by multiple people over decades and decades, going back to the 1930s and 40s in documentation. And it's clearly been played down, and the people reporting these things have been made to look like the fools. And if this meeting that is being held tomorrow and these testimonies hold water, and we might start asking, what else are we being lied about? So we've now had the meetings, the great reveal, the UFO cover-up. Was it what we were all expecting? Yes and no, I think, to be honest with you. Mr. Gruthman gave his overview, opened up the meeting. 3 whistleblowers sat there in front, and you'd got a few key players within the UFO community sat behind him, namely George Knapp. There were Jeremy Corbell there and a few others who didn't have anything to say, but they were there, and I think that's an important part of the proceedings. It just shows their place and how far they've come helping to bring this to fruition. To me, Mr. Burchett is the key to getting the truth, finding out what we want to know. And then there was a Miss Luna, and obviously she's a proponent of getting to the truth as well. Mr. Garcia, he appears to want to know the truth of what's happening. So I think the whistleblowers, Aaron Graves, is it, and Mr. Grush and Fravor, they had lots to say, and there was so much more that they couldn't say that they did say. Does that make sense? Because obviously they're speaking to people who are in a position to open the doors. So although there was no big reveal at this UFO meeting where these 3 whistleblowers got to tell their truth about what they knew, what they'd seen, what they'd experienced, they were in a place where they got to share part of the truth with people who had access, who potentially can knock on the doors where we will find out the truth, this suppressed knowledge. So I think it was a really worthwhile meeting. Baby steps to leading to something that's ultimately is going to be much, much bigger. I don't know what people were expecting, myself included. I think at the beginning, at the onset, I was thinking, well, they've not really told us anything, but everything has to have a point of origin. Everything has to start somewhere, and maybe this was it. Aaron Graves, the former F-18 pilot, sat there telling the Congress UFOs or UAPs are real. He tells about his encounter and the fact that pilots were restricted from talking about their encounters with these objects. His own 2014 encounter with the cube-shaped UFO, the cube-shaped UAP. And I find it fascinating that it was cube-shaped because I'm biased. I've got to jump to East and North Yorkshire, and there's far more activity along this coast, I would have thought, than anywhere that these guys were talking about. They've had one encounter, and that's not to play down what they've had. They're in a position to spread the word. They're in a position to get this truth out. I'm not. Then you've got Mr. Fravor, retired commander of the United States Navy. 2004, he was airstrike commander of the world-famous Black Aces. These people and their credentials don't come lightly. They've laid it on the line. They've got nothing to gain. Grush, Aaron Graves, Fravor, they've broke new ground. People are going to follow in their footsteps. This is history making, I feel. Regardless of whether you were expecting to hear some incredible revelation regarding alien beings visiting us from some distant galaxy, that didn't happen. And I'll tell you what I did note. It's fascinating that we're now talking about non-human intelligences as opposed to extraterrestrial intelligences. I've said for years and years that these things are alien. as in alien to everything that we are as human beings, but not necessarily from outer space. They're already here. When I wrote The Night People, I noted that these things, for all I know, could have been what people interpret as demons. Not necessarily aliens, just alien to everything we know and understand. So we're living in incredible times, quite literally incredible times, and these three men have broke new ground when it comes to revealing the truth of UFOs.
My gosh! They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. I do have an LNS.